The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Melt Show.
Medical marijuana, the best way for potheads to sound scientific. You see, it's not about legalizing a drug, it's about saving babies from seizures and helping cancer patients cope. It's about the medical marijuana revolution, and it's a load of junk science.
We are in the midst of a marijuana revolution.
A certain strain looks to be very effective in treating kids with severe seizure disorders.
A mystery compound believed to have healing properties.
Let's get this out of the way right now. I have nothing to say about whether or not we should legalize recreational marijuana. That's a discussion for politicians, not scientists. The question here is whether marijuana should be viewed as a medication. And it shouldn't be, because it's dangerous, it's untested, and it's unethical. So far, 23 states and Washington, D.C. have all legalized medical marijuana for select diseases and conditions, despite the fact that marijuana has never been proven safe or effective in any sort of large, randomized clinical trial. You know, like every other medication. Take epilepsy, for example.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
In 2013, CNN reported that Charlotte, a small child suffering from constant crippling seizures, was saved by marijuana. Despite the fact that this was an isolated case, it led to nationwide calls to deregulate medical marijuana for Charlotte. And then the studies started rolling in. 1 year later, a massive literature review concluded that not one single reliable study has ever shown that medical marijuana is even safe, let alone effective, for people with epilepsy. The American Epilepsy Society now officially recommends against medical marijuana. But that didn't stop 17 states from approving medical marijuana as a treatment for epilepsy, in defiance of the best available research. And the junk science is only spreading. 20 states have already approved marijuana for cancer and AIDS patients with nausea or loss of appetite, despite study after study showing that conventional drugs work better for managing both symptoms. Before we use old men with Alzheimer's and little girls with epilepsy as guinea pigs in some misguided social experiment, it pays to put marijuana through the same rigorous tests and trials as any other medication. Right now that's impossible due to federal laws prohibiting such research, but that's no reason to make up science and put people at risk. At least for now, if anyone tells you that we're on the brink of a medical marijuana revolution, that's junk science.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
All right. Let me just tell you, I've been out of the office here for, I don't know, what's up, several days now. Several days I've been sick as a dog. Rough. Let me tell you that I got to blow past all of that for that jackass right there at the front of the show. I don't even care that I was sick for almost a week. It could have been a lot worse. It's shingles. It could have been like 30 days. It's still going on. It's just not impacting me to a level that I can't do the show. Good Lord. For a minute there, I couldn't get out of bed. All right, I said I was going past this. Look, this business with this guy. Did you hear the nonsense? Okay, in the first place, I can't believe that somebody like that is out there in the, I guess, relative, what you would call blogosphere. This guy works, what's his name here? I got to look him up. Because he's just pissed me off beyond belief. I couldn't believe I saw that today. Let me see if I can find the reference here. The junk science guy. This is an article according to the New York Daily News. And this guy's name is Nicholas Parko. And he, they have a 4-part series on junk science. At least this is part 4, according to the YouTube post. And so I'm not familiar with New York media with respect to, I guess, slant. When you talk about New York media, there's a lot of yahoo about, oh, those guys are a liberal slant or those guys are a conservative slant. Make of it what you will. And I don't know where the New York Daily News, not to be confused with the New York Post, because that's a whole different thing. I do understand that. I don't know where they fall in the spectrum of silliness. But it is a major publication in a major city, the majorest city, the most major city, the number one city in the United States. And so for this jackass, Nicholas Parko, to be on the air pumping this nonsense, I mean, is there a way we can review that? I have to do it. I think there's a way I can just replay that part. Well, let me do it, yeah. So let's just see.
It's easy to buy insurance and forget about it.
See, they're going to make me play the stupid commercial again. Oh, it just kills me. And they won't let you get around it either. Thank God it's only a 30-second commercial. Have you ever seen these places where they make you watch New York? So, by the way, it's for what is it for? Just so that they get the credit for it.
Talk to farmers and see what.
Oh, it's Farmers Insurance. So there you go. You got your stupid, 10 cents of fame. So here's the piece.
Medical marijuana, the best way for potheads to sound scientific.
Okay,
You
wait
see,
a
it's
minute.
not about
Wait.
legalizing
Okay, let's
a
just
drug.
put the
It's about
pause.
saving
Put the
babies from
kibosh.
seizure.
Put the kibosh on that for a second. So, right off the bat, he's telling you that he doesn't like potheads. He says it right up the front. I mean, he says medical marijuana, the best way for potheads to sound scientific. As if you're a real scientist, because I don't think you are. He's just a beard-toting, glass-wearing, golf hat capping idiot for the Daily News. And it's VOCATIV is the vocative. Try to, I don't know, sound official. And in the piece, so he says right up there at the bat, if you want, potheads sound official by saying medical marijuana. Bullshit.
And helping cancer patients cope. It's about the medical marijuana revolution.
Oh, see, about helping cancer patients. He says it's all bunk.
And it's a load of junk science.
See, he's just such an asshole. Junk science, my arse.
We are in the midst of a marijuana revolution.
A certain strain looks to be very effective in treating kids with severe seizure disorders.
A mystery compound believed to have healing properties.
Let's get this out of the way right now.
Let's not get it out of the way right now because you're just an idiot. I mean, you're just you've got no brains between your ears.
Whether or not we should legalize recreational marijuana. That's a discussion for politicians, not scientists. The question here is whether...
Oh, and you're a scientist, right? I'm just going to remind you, what scientist are you?
Marijuana should be viewed as a medication, and it shouldn't be, because it's dangerous, it's untested, and it's unethical.
Okay, it's dangerous, it's untested, and it's unethical, he says. Okay, first off, tell me where the danger is. Tell me where the danger is. Because we all know marijuana is safer than salt. I mean, I can't, there's nothing I can't think of that I can point to marijuana being safer than. I think marijuana is safer than Band-Aids. People get injured every year by ripping Band-Aids off too quickly. Marijuana will never do that to you. I'm just saying. So he doesn't back any of these claims. He makes all these claims. He pastes all these labels, and they're all prohibitionist labels. Every last one. So I want to call him out. I want to see if I can get a hold of him one day and talk to this guy and see if he can actually back any of the statements he makes in this video. Because it's nonsense. And I believe I posted the video. If I didn't before, I will post it after the show, and I'll put a show note link in the show notes to where you can watch this guy, and maybe you can respond to him in the Daily News and tell him what idiots they are.
So far, 23 states and Washington, D.C. have all legalized medical marijuana for select diseases and conditions, despite the fact that marijuana has never been proven safe or effective in any sort of large, randomized clinical trial.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, just hold it right there, Mr. Beard. Nothing wrong with beards. It is No Shave November. Just reminding everybody. Right there. Stop in your tracks. How can you tell anyone, tell the idea that there's been no large-scale randomized studies done that meet FDA standards. Tell that to GW Pharmaceuticals, who's currently fast-tracking whole plant cannabis medicine in the form of Epidiolex and Sativex right now in stage 3 clinical trials. Jackass. Tell me about cannabis, you puke.
Their medication. Take epilepsy, for example.
Oh, no, let's not take epilepsy because you just picked the biggest thing, the number one thing. Oh, he wants to say there's no science behind the epilepsy. You just picked the number one thing that everybody gets behind in this country because 17 states passed cannabis oil legislation last year.
I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
In 2000,
by last year,
CNN reported that Charlotte, a small child suffering from constant crippling seizures, was saved by marijuana. Despite the fact that this was an isolated case, it led to nationwide calls to deregulate medical marijuana for Charlotte. And then the studies started rolling in.
Okay, wait a minute. So he says he makes two false claims here. Number one, that Charlotte was an isolated case. Tell that to the medical refugees running from Texas right now to Colorado to save their kids. Tell that to them, you puke.
1 year later, a massive literature review concluded that not one single reliable study has ever shown that medical marijuana is even safe, let alone effective, for people with epilepsy.
Okay, so he wants to say that, and then I'm just going to point him right back to GW Pharmaceuticals, who's field trialing right now in stage 3 clinical trials, and they're going to fly through this. We've already proven this. It's the path is paved for GW and Epidiolex, which is an oral spray, and it's going to stop lots of kids from having seizures. But see, it's gone through the pharmaceutical method. Don't tell me about cannabis.
The American Epilepsy Society now officially recommends against medical marijuana. But that didn't stop 17 states from approving medical marijuana as a treatment for epilepsy, in defiance of the best available research.
In defiance of what? In defiance of the fact that there's nothing else these kids could use? See, I just can't believe that somebody is out there in the popular media still trying to spread this ideology messaging. Watch out for them, people. They're everywhere. They will sneak up under your feet and try and sell you the boogeyman. Because if they can sell you the boogeyman, they can sell you a fix for the boogeyman and make money all the time, walking off to the bank with your cash, selling you the problem and selling you the cure to the problem. I'm over it officially. Listen, we're going to go to break here. When we come back from the break, we got a couple of things to talk about. I wish I could just do this thing about, I just watched this whole piece that I wanted to play during the show, but there's no time in this show. There's this whole piece about these Texas refugees, these medical refugees running from Texas into Colorado to save their kids. A whole big, long, like a 5-minute piece from some TV station in Texas somewhere, saying exactly the opposite as official reporters, and reporters follow the science, right? We're going to talk about to Jeffrey Peterson, the 420 comic. He's got a new twist on Comic-Con, really, with a marijuana theme. And also the Potbot. What do you think about the Potbot? Coming up next on the show.
You're getting the full melt.
So you want to win the holidays, but you don't want to put on pants. Then shop the smart way with the Best Buy app. Just swipe that finger through gift options for everyone on your list. Want a fast track to today's hottest deals? Best Buy's Blue Assist will show you how to really win. Because if winning the holidays is sweet, winning it while watching The Karate Kid 3 is even sweeter. Win the holidays at Best Buy.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
It's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moved from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the big competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
The girl in the pastry shop with the net in her hair is making a cannoli for you to take on your hiking trip in the woods with your bros that you've known since second grade. And you make kind of dragons or ruffians and be called upon to employ your testosterone in a battle for supremacy and access to females glued to the TV. And even if you are victorious, you may receive many cuts, bruises, and scrapes, and you will require band-aids and antiseptic ointments and tender loving kisses on your stab wounds. And when you come home, she will be there waiting for you with a fire in her eyes and a big fat cannoli to shove in your mouth. And that's why I
Are you actually there?
I'm here, yeah.
You are there, Jeffrey. It's Jeffrey Peterson. Welcome back to the Full Melt Show. Look, I barely got on the air. I've been pushing buttons and trying to reach you. Are you out at some convention? Is that what's going on?
Oh, no, I'm here in Denver, just high as a kite as normal, you know.
Well, go ahead. Can you hear me? Is everything? Can you hear everything
just
okay?
Preparing for I got a big show tonight I'm doing in downtown Denver, so just getting prepared, man.
Boning up on the comedy for the night, huh?
That's right.
So, go ahead.
That consists of several bong hits and some, superhero movies. That's how I get charged up for a comedy show.
Well, it's kind of a natural progression, isn't it? It's a way to relax. It's a way to get deep into thought. It's a way to focus.
Yeah, and I get prepared to kick ass just like Captain America.
I love the superhero concept that you bring to the whole 420 thing and to also the comic book world.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. This new medium is really taking shape, and it kind of is growing by leaps and bounds in a very short time. My comic books, Cali Chronic Comics, which are cannabis-themed comic books, were just featured on the news out here at Mile High Comics, which is the world's largest comic book store. So They sell out like crazy. And this weekend, we are having our second annual Chronic Con, which is a cannabis-friendly comic book convention.
Now, this is like a world's first, isn't it?
This is the world's first, and now that we've done it, this will be our second time. It'll be the world's second, I guess. So we're so excited. We have some great stars coming out. Todd Holland from Grandma's Boy and The Water Boy. Craig X from Weeds. This great cosplay gal, Arizona Power Girl. And Mark Dodson from Star Wars returns. So that's awesome.
It sounds like you've got a full roster of people that people become interested coming to see at a convention like that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's we've just got a full day too of fun events for people. Cosplay costume contest. We have music and comedy, and also this is a really Colorado innovative thing. We're going to have the Bowlwood Derby, sort of like a Pinewood Derby. This involves a smokable bowl on the car that you send down the track.
Whoa. So that just sounds delightfully amusing.
Yes, it is. It's going to be great. There's going to be a bunch of independent comic books there from people in the cannabis world, and then also a good chance to get some of your favorite, some glass pieces, and also just collectibles and stuff.
So what's the kind of fare you can expect? I mean, what are the kind of people, I guess, that show up at a place like this? Do they come in costume? Are they like Star Trek-y kind of people, but with comic books?
Oh, yeah. And you know what's neat is they definitely come up dressed as for their favorite Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Star Trek characters. But there's such a great crossover with this cannabis thing that now there's people dressed up in new superhero costumes that are cannabis related. We have a couple coming out called Captain Spliff and Honey Blunt. That's going to be awesome. We got a dude coming out from Florida called Cannabis Man. So it's going to be neat.
Honey Blunt, huh?
Yes, and we have several costume people. The Unibonger will be there from Calitronic Comics. The Unibonger and Sheets Man, who is co-hosting the event with another costume hero, Killer Bud. So
now, again, when is this happening and where?
This is happening Saturday, November 14th, and Sunday, November 15th, at the Speakeasy Vape Lounge in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's pretty groundbreaking, and if you didn't get your tickets to Jamaica to go to the High Times Cup, come on out to Colorado Springs.
Man, I was so close, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I had the press passes in hand, and I made the appointment over to the passport agency, and then like the night before I'm supposed to go to the passport agency, I start looking through my stuff because you got to bring your ID and you got to bring your birth certificate. And
yeah.
I've got a German birth certificate because I was born to Army parents out in the Army hospital. So, you got to sort through all that stuff. And I couldn't find my identification. I lost my ID. So I got nothing to bring to the stupid passport agency. There's no way I could get a passport in time for this stupid thing. I gave up.
That's tough. You know what? That's a similar story to what I've heard from some other people that couldn't get in or weren't able to, make it happen. And, I don't know if you saw the news. Bobby Black from High Times Magazine has for lack of a better word, stepped down. So that could have changed the whole High Times Cup right there.
Whoa, I didn't know that Bobby Black jumped out of the game.
I don't know if he's out of the game, but he's out of the High Times games.
Wow. He just up and resigned up out of nowhere?
Well, he made an announcement yesterday on Facebook that he's no longer with High Times after 21 years. And, of course, I wish Bobby all the best, and I know he's going to
sure. He'll have a job tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and I believe he's going to come out and explore some of the West Coast. So I encouraged him to come out and hang out with me out in Denver and show him what a comic's life is like,
Well, careful, because, I suppose for a comic like yourself, the comic life is pretty good, but a lot of comedy comes from dark places, doesn't it, Jeff?
Oh, well, believe me, my places are very dark. I have a very troubled childhood to tap into anytime I need to. I mean, I was raised by lesbians in a Crip neighborhood in Los Angeles, so that's a pretty big start right there.
Well, what I guess brought you into the cannabis world and then also into the comedy world? Because this is what comic books are all about. Really, is comedy. It's a form of comedy. Usually, it's drama and comedy, I suppose. But you can't really have a comic book and call it a comic without there being something funny in it.
Well, the neat thing is I've been able to. I was an animator for 16 years. Back 20 years ago, I worked on X-Men and Batman and all that. And now to be able to kind of bring comedy into my artwork has kind of been full circle. And, I've been a cannabis activist since 1991 when I saw Jack Hare on a TV show called Hemp for Victory with my buddy Richard Marsala.
I'm familiar with Hemp for Victory.
Wow. Yeah, and I was watching it, and this was 1991, and I was like, I was a stoner, but I wasn't an activist in any way. And I was like, wow, I didn't know marijuana was all about that. So I went and read his book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and Jack Hare inspired me to really just be a champion for the plant, you know?
Well, there are a lot of champions that need championing.
Yeah, that's true.
As far as the medical aspect of it goes. But,
definitely.
The larger picture has always been, hasn't the larger, I think all of the people in the recreational market will tell you that medical marijuana is a step towards retail cannabis.
Yeah.
And
I've always been a recreational cannabis proponent because it should be one of the freedoms in our country that we should be able to choose for ourselves, especially when this is the wonder plant. It's certainly not harming anybody. So,
Oh, don't tell that to this guy. I was just playing this stupid idiot at the beginning of the show. I didn't see him until today, but there's this piece. He does this whole. He's from his name is Nicholas Parco. He does this piece on junk science. Medical marijuana is not beneficial, and I'm like, I can't believe that this guy is out there saying this stuff. He's out there, down talking marijuana. He will tell you that there's no study anywhere that ever says that marijuana is beneficial to anybody. And he holds up Charlotte from Charlotte's Web as like an anecdotal piece of evidence. And I just can't believe there's somebody out there actively anti-messaging in a proponent, political position. That's the
well, the pendulum swings both ways, but I bet you anything he's being funded by big pharma to say whatever, because that's the enemy of cannabis is big pharma doesn't know what to do with the fact that this wonder plant has now proven to be everything we said it was, and now they're scrambling.
Well,
like,
GW Pharmaceuticals out there marketing, fast-tracking in Phase 3 trials Epidiolex, which is for epilepsy, and Sativex, which is for muscle spasms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if Big Pharma's paying them, they're paying them to say the exact opposite of reality, which is nothing new.
Totally. And they don't, just like the big tobacco, big pharma, they want to keep their profits high. Cannabis is still controversial. I'll tell you something that's pretty interesting. I have some rolling papers that I'm having manufactured right now from TH Customs, and they have my comic book characters on them. And the crazy thing is they're manufactured in China. Well, U.S. Customs are holding my rolling papers right now under investigation.
I want to know if the gas station vendors that distribute the zigzags ever had a holdup at U.S. Customs from France.
You know what I'm saying? Snoop Dogg just opened a line of edibles out here. He didn't have trouble with them, so it's pretty funny. It's a comic's life, man. So I feel like Larry Flint right now. My stuff's being held up, and I believe it's because one of the characters on the rolling papers says, "Do you like to smoke weed?" So
they actually. This means that they would actually have to pop out each paper and read them. Could you imagine looking at the customs guy that's doling through your pack of comic book papers and telling me no, put a red tag on this one?
I thought about that because they told me this morning that it did pass through one customs agent, but another one flagged it and wanted to investigate it further.
What is the further investigation besides putting some cannabis in the papers and then actually rolling and smoking said paper? That's the only further investigation you could do besides, maybe you were nick fitting and ran out of cigarettes and had to pick apart your butts and roll one.
The funny thing, Steve, is my comic books have a pretty vast world in that some of my characters are even, gay or lesbian, and my character is Rainy Day Women, my lesbian super duo. They endorse lesbianism on the comic book rolling papers. It says, "Do you like lesbians?" So if Customs hold them for too long, I'm going to get Margaret Cho and the whole lesbian army on this, grab Ellen DeGeneres,
Take all your lesbian comedy friends and go rolling.
They'll go rolling. That's right. Because I was raised by two two moms, and I'll be damned if they're going to take my lesbian rolling papers away.
Good Lord. I just can't believe Customs is holding up a bundle of papers because you had to have a manufacturer. Thanks for, exporting all our stuff over to China and then not letting us have us back.
That's what I thought. Thank you. And you know what? It's like, obviously cannabis has become the booming business, the cash crop in the United States. And here's the man, U.S. Customs, holding me back from making some of this green rush money.
I just don't get it. Yeah, the messaging is hard to beat. You're going to see more of it. I think you're going to see more of it. I think this is the tip of the iceberg leading into the 2016 year when you're going to see 11 to 16 states go recreational and or medical, in this current, period.
Well, they can't turn back time now, and like what I've said a long time ago, the genie's out of the bottle. It's too late. You can't change people's minds,
Well, I mean, this has been the push by NORML for 40 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is exactly what they've been hoping to eventually crack the egg on. It just takes a lot of hammering at an egg when they take all your tools away.
It does, and I still feel for my POW friends like Eddie Lepp and my buddy Chris Martin, people I know that are in prison right now for cannabis offenses. When we're really benefiting from these freedoms, it's kind of a real conflict of interest, I
wanted to give a plug because I know you were on that cannabis game. What is it, like a Shark Tank kind of show? What is that thing called?
The Marijuana Show. I was the winner of season 1. Yeah.
And you were involved again this year for season 2?
Yes, I was. They brought me back. They wanted to do a little update on where I've gone with my investment in a year, and it was fantastic. My investor Chris Chiari and I went on the show and discussed at great lengths all the neat stuff we're doing.
We only got seconds left. If there's a place that people can go to watch any of that, how do they go view it?
I believe it's going to be on a major network that like a cable network.
Really?
They're working on selling it, but I know it's on Comcast right now, and it's on YouTube. But they've signed some big agreements for season 2. And they've announced that they've retooled season 1, and they will be re-showing that as well.
Wow, it's so awesome. Jeffrey Peterson, Jeffrey Peterson, 420 Comic. We're running into break. We've up against the clock now.
Well, it's been great talking with you guys. And again, I just want to encourage you, if you like comic books and you like cannabis, you guys can always go to milehighcomics.com.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
At book club, they were asking me what you're doing now, Janice.
Blogging. Your blog is just pictures of you in a mirror.
It's called a fashion blog, Todd. Well, I've been helping people save money with Progressive's discounts. Flo, can you get Janice a job?
You should have stuck to softball. I was so much better at softball than Jan is dead.
Where's your wife, Todd?
Vacation.
Discounts like homeowners, multi-policy. I got a discount on this ham.
I've got the meat sweats. It's good ham, Diane.
Paperless discounts. Give it a rest, Flo.
Yeah, Flo, give it a rest.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moves from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
We ask people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be downtimes.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD Hemp Oil Drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Coming to you live from the petpain.com studios in suburban Detroit. It is the Full Melt Show. What's going on in Illinois? I can tell you that medical marijuana, as it debuted last week, has been turning some patients away. This according to the Chicago Tribune. Dateline Chicago. Bill Wilson can't stand the smell of marijuana. He said he's anti-drug and anti-alcoholic, yet there he was Monday buying medical cannabis on the first day it was authorized by Illinois law. After years of taking anti-inflammatory drugs and prescription painkillers that messed up his stomach, the 52-year-old Chicagoan who has degenerative spinal disease said he hoped that marijuana would help him reduce the use of such medications. After seeing cannabis help his sister with multiple sclerosis and trying it himself in Colorado, he said he's convinced of its benefits. This is going to be a godsend, he said, holding vials of pot that cost him $180. I can't really believe it. Actually, he says, I really believe it, that it's going to be a godsend. Wilson was among several patients who lined up Monday at EarthMed, a medical marijuana dispensary in Addison. It was one of 6 medical pot stores to open statewide, a fraction of the 60 planned sites, and in effect, a soft launch program that was more than 2 years in the making since lawmakers approved it in 2013. State regulators have authorized only about 3,300 patients, a far cry from the 100,000 plus originally projected. But industry officials remained optimistic that more patients will sign up now that the 4-year pilot program has become a reality. Now remember, they haven't extended this 4-year pilot program. It's in the midst of it. So part of the inclusion of that 4 years, apparently according to Illinois legislators, includes that 2-year setup. So it's only going to go for 2 years unless they renew it. We're thrilled to be giving this medicine to patients, said the owner of EarthMed, which offered 11 strains of marijuana with names such as Grape God Bud and Chem Dog for about $20 a gram. The state allows patients to buy up to 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks, which some estimates at about 10 cigarette-sized joints a day, much more than what many patients said they needed. To comply with local zoning laws and requirements to be at least 1,000 feet from schools and daycare centers, many of the dispensaries are in industrial parks, which some patients felt was meant to keep them hidden. Further lending a mood of secrecy in the proceedings, no customers are allowed inside the dispensaries unless they've been certified by a doctor as having one of about 40 specified debilitating medical conditions like cancer, HIV, MS. Patients have to submit fingerprints to pass a criminal background check. Really? I have to pass a criminal background check to treat my ailment. Really? And you wonder why there aren't any people in this program. Patients have to submit fingerprints and pass that criminal background check and must show a state-issued photo ID. Some patients were turned away. Because they had not yet registered online with one dispensary as required. So you can only go to that shop to get your crap. You can't choose. You can't go to that one over there. You can, but you got to pick it online. You got to say that's the one I'm going to go to. You can't go to this one and then later on decide, well, maybe I like this one better. In fact, you can't even go in there unless you got all this stuff. And then if you go in there and you're registered at the other one, they won't let you buy nothing. They're going to turn you back away and go to the one that you registered at online. How stupid is that? Some said they didn't have time to register since receiving their IDs as recently as Friday or Saturday. One of those who had left empty-handed was Ryan Flanagan of Palos Heights, who has spinal arthritis and muscular dystrophy and walks with a cane at age 24. It's depressing. I've been waiting 2 years for this moment, Flanagan said. Some of those who made purchases had smoked marijuana previously from the black market, but said they were relieved it was now legal. Many others, some of who came in on walkers or crutches, said they'd never or rarely used it before and were unsure how to proceed. Each store has employees known elsewhere as bud tenders who consult with patients on what symptoms they hope to relieve and how to find different strains that might affect them. The two main types of cannabis are known generally for different effects. Sativa is said to be more euphoric and energetic, while indica is thought to be more relaxing and a better pain reliever and sleep aid. Different strains also vary key components, such as the amount of THC, the component that gets users high, and CBD, which is said to reduce seizures. For the first couple of weeks, the stores are expected to offer only the dried flower form of marijuana. In the future, though, growers say they will be producing a wide variety of edibles, including chocolates, brownies, and gummy bears, as well as oils, extracts, lotions, and possibly patches. Many of the patients said they'd hoped marijuana would allow them to reduce their use of painkillers and other prescription drugs and the side effects that they produce. One study recently found that states permitting medical marijuana had a relative decrease in opiate addictions and overdose deaths compared to the states that do not. Other studies have shown marijuana is effective for treating neuropathic pain. However, analysis this year of several other medical studies found that there was weak evidence for marijuana's effectiveness in treating many other conditions. In general, advocates and critics say more research is needed because it's been impeded by the federal classification of marijuana in the most dangerous category, along with heroin. While medical marijuana has been allowed in 22 other states, some groups remained opposed to it, including the American Society of Addiction Medicines and the American Medical Association. On Monday, though, patients were just happy to have the product in hand. At EarthMed, the first patient to legally purchase pot, Chris Favela, 19, paid $180 for about 9 grams of marijuana. Really, it's just over a quarter ounce of weed, and he paid almost $200 for it to reduce spasms from multiple sclerosis. Really? I just want to know, first off, Illinois, with your pilot legislative initiated program. Thanks for taking a stab at this, by the way. Not faulting you for that. Just faulting you for the optics that you put on it. I mean, this is an MS patient that could probably find that same, essentially quarter ounce of marijuana. It's a fat quarter is what I would call it. He could find essentially that same quarter ounce of marijuana on the street for about half that price. Same quality, half that price. I think it's fantastic, Favela of Ithaca said that of the program. It's going to help patients that are suffering. I take a lot of medication, and if this reduces it, I'm a fan. Other dispensaries open in suburban, areas downstate in Canton, Marion, Ottawa, and Quincy. Others expected to open Tuesday in North Aurora. In Mundelein, midday Monday, a crowd of more than 100 was waiting outside the Clinic Mundelein dispensary with Ben Kovler when he opened its doors and was greeted by applause as he welcomed the first set of clients. "This is a historic day in the state of Illinois," said Kovler, CEO of Green Thumb Industries, the company behind the clinic. "What we've gone through to open is nothing compared to what the patients have gone through." The menu for opening day, distributed outside the clinic, featured indica and sativa strains with prices ranging from $35 for 1.75 grams. The hell is that? It's a way to confuse you on pricing is what it is. To $110 for 7 grams of either product. So that is a quarter ounce. And that's more in line with street pricing. Second in line outside the clinic was Edwin Schlesler, who drove north from Steamwood to buy medication that he said is preferable to the narcotics prescribed to him for spinal condition. "My doctor was actually proud of me for never taking the pain pills," he said, expressing worries about addiction. "This is God's natural gift to us right here," he said, holding up a sealed vial of cannabis that he intended to use as soon as he got home. "It was a long process to acquire it, but it is a great day." And that it was. Was it? State regulators worked through the weekend to finish setting up a computer database of patients and caregivers that dispensaries must use to track where patients buy their cannabis and how much. Additional dispensaries are expected to be authorized to open by the year end, with a total of 18 grow houses authorized to operate under the test program scheduled to end in 2018. The state program, which former Governor Pat Quinn signed into law, was designed to be more stringent than other states that offer medical pot, but implementation was marked by repeated setbacks. When Quinn lost re-election to Bruce Rauner, the new administration started delaying approving licenses for growers and sellers, fearing litigation over the process. Various lawsuits were filed over the issue, but none has won final rulings. So, lessons to be learned. Lessons to be learned in Illinois. And I guess this is, in all fairness, I guess this is why they call this a pilot project. Because maybe rather than renewing this pilot project, maybe they should modify it. Maybe after the 2 years that they're actually having some participation, minimally, I might add, if you're looking at 3,300 people out of an expected 100,000 population that this program was designed for, because they know the 100,000 is there. How we got that here in Michigan, and we got nowhere near the population of Illinois. When you look at Chicago, I mean, seriously. So it was designed for a smaller amount of what's probably there for medical patients that would normally participate in a Michigan-like system, even though Michigan's not an example at all by which to follow. It's one of these states that stabbed at this early in the game. Came out with the best they could do at the time. If it had come out now, it'd be totally different, I'll tell you, and it will be next year. But there are lessons to be learned, and I think part of this lessoning is, look, you're going to have 3,300 people. That's 3.3% of the initial figure that they thought they were going to have. Is that even that? Because you're talking about 100,000. Yeah, so it's 3,300. That's 3.3% if you do the math. I mean, where are you getting the other 97% from? Why aren't they there? The answer is doctors aren't signing these things. It's the most critical component in the package you've got to submit to get your ID card. Doctors are afraid that they're going to get sanctioned and fined and scrutinized and get a microscope from the state up their hind end over signing these authorizations, so they won't do it. That's a big problem, and you better find a way to overcome it, or you're going to have a lot of people with investments on the line, official investments in your pilot program, that are going to be screaming with pitchforks and torches at your doorstep if you don't.
You're getting the full melt.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
So you want to win the holidays, but you don't want to put on pants. Then shop the smart way with the Best Buy app. Just swipe that finger through gift options for everyone on your list. Want a fast track to today's hottest deals? Best Buy's Blue Assist will show you how to really win. Because if winning the holidays is sweet, winning it while watching The Karate Kid 3 is even sweeter. Win the holidays at Best Buy.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Find us here Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time now, I guess it is. Man, it's full already. So you want to know what's about your medical marijuana. You want to know about the CBD and the THC and the indica and the sativa. Trying to figure it all out. Well, that's where the folks at Potbot come in. This week, the company launches Potbot, a free online tool designed to bring much of this scientific information to patients in order to help them better understand which cannabinoids are best for their specific medical condition. Users enter their age, weight, frequency of marijuana use, and medical condition, and the site spits out suggestions of which cannabinoid concentration and marijuana strains will be best to treat them. Each recommendation contains links to the peer-reviewed studies to support the recommendation. And in cases where information is scarce or the supplementary data is conducted on mice, for example, the caveats appear to pop up in the window. Your results overview. It's got a picture here. There's a Potbot screen with a cannabinoid result profile. The goal, Goldstein says, is to make patients better informed when they place an order at the dispensary. If you were to go to some of the Potbot competitors, they focus on a strain's recreational attributes, taste, flavor, smell, he says. Much of that information is also anecdotal and crowdsourced, which isn't very useful for medical marijuana users. There's no regulatory body that guarantees that a given strain is the same wherever it's obtained. So a user that purchases White Widow in 2 different dispensaries might be getting completely different levels of cannabinoids. The profile might be completely different depending on the phenotype you got, right? To make their database, the Potbotics team tested several samples of different marijuana strains, so the database contains cannabinoid ranges for each strain. By making the hard data more transparent, a Potbot user can take the dispensary bud tender about the ask the bud tender at the dispensary about the cannabinoid value of a particular strain on its packaging for bud tenders to see, Goldstein says, in order to get the one that's most helpful for his or her specific condition. It's hard to argue against giving patients greater transparency about cannabinoids' studied effects. Goldstein says his company has been especially targeting baby boomers that are returning to marijuana after experimenting with it in the 60s and 70s. They started smoking to be anti-establishment. Now they're smoking because it's anti-inflammatory, he says. That's a great line, by the way. Some might not want to be bogged down by more information that is necessary, but certainly a good number would be interested in learning more about the specific molecular components that make marijuana an effective treatment. It's like a self-selecting group. But another of Potbotics' endeavors goes a step farther, seeking to interpret marijuana's benefits from a neurological attack. In a service called BrainBot, a doctor can recommend a patient to receive a series of EEGs. It's an electroencephalogram. It's a recording of the brain's electrical activity using electrodes stuck to the scalp to determine the best strain of pot for his brain. Really? The patient would visit Potbotics' California facility 3 to 4 times, each time taking an inhaler of a specific strain of marijuana while hooked up to the EEG. Potbotics would then send the EEG readings back to the doctor, who would look for changes in certain types of brain waves that are relevant to the patient's medical condition. A doctor might recommend a strain to an insomnia patient, for example, if the results showed less activity of beta waves, which are associated with wakefulness and attention. By using quantifiable evidence, the thought goes patients will be able to skip the expensive process of purchasing different strains of marijuana from a dispensary before finding one that best treats a specific medical condition. And that makes a lot of sense practically, doesn't it? Who wants to spend, in the case of 9 grams of marijuana at one dispensary in Chicago, $180? Goofing around trying to figure out what works, right? Do you want to regulate it now? The Potbot? BrainBot isn't widely available yet for a couple of reasons. With so much legislation pending and state-by-state variations in regulation, Goldstein is slow to expand BrainBot's availability outside California. We want to see the laws a little more evolved before we put in capital, time, and effort in developing BrainBot in New York, he says. And although FDA has approved the EEG as a medical device, the only initial baseline reading, the one that's done before a patient has tried the marijuana strain, is covered by insurance. Only that one. It leaves the patient with a steep bill for each reading in the cannabis inhalers, not to mention the doctor's visit to interpret the results. But from a scientific perspective, BrainBot is especially fraught since so much about marijuana's effects is simply unknown. I'd have serious reservations about the scientific claims of such an approach, Peter McCormick, a lecturer in cellular biology at the University of Anglia School of Pharmacy, told Popular Science the effects of smoking marijuana are much too complex to be simplified into a few EEG readings, and the range of reasons patients might want to use medical marijuana are far too vast to suggest one readout can provide medical guidance for all patients. You see where they're going with this? I mean, pretty much they want to be able to measure your body's response and have a doctor evaluate it and charge you along the way. Your insurance was only going to cover one of these EEGs. Each puff, you're going to have to pay for. Each EEG after that, you have to pay for. You have to pay for the doctor. I mean, how expensive does this have to get? I say that this is an idea that Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank would say, take out behind the barn and shoot. I am certainly skeptical of the device you described, Vandry, said of the of John Hopkins professor. He's adding, there's currently little or no scientific data that suggests a link to specific strains and a certain medical condition. In most cases, there's a variability of plant constituents with a given strain. The science hasn't caught up with Potbot's mission. Different strains of marijuana have been shown to produce different EEG results, Vandry says. And an EEG isn't even the primary method of measurement for many of the conditions that medical marijuana treats, like glaucoma or Crohn's. All in all, I think it's a bit far-fetched, but good data is the best way to make a good case for something like this, he says. Goldstein hopes that the information gathered from BrainBot can be used to further scientific research into marijuana's neurological effects. He says the company has been in talks with several institutions in the U.S. and Canada and Israel that might use the data in their studies, though nothing has been formalized. In the end, there's nothing wrong with giving patients more information about the known therapeutic elements of marijuana, as Potbot does. But it's important to communicate the limitations of that knowledge, too. And when the science is cloudy, so are the benefits for patients. The clamor for reform of regulations surrounds marijuana research becoming more loud in recent years, thanks to disparate groups, including researchers, entrepreneurs, and politicians. Expanding the ability to do research would be really exciting, says Goldstein. Tell that to the FDA and the DEA, NIDA, National Institute on Drug Abuse. They're in control of all that. Not to mention the frickin' president. No matter which way the legislative tide is turning, marijuana research seems to be picking up steam. A spokesperson for the National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA, growing facility in Mississippi, the only place in the country that produces marijuana for research purposes, told me that demand for marijuana has exploded in recent years. Well, imagine that. Potbot hopes to have a place in that shift by making cannabis science more accessible to medical marijuana users. In the future, Potbot hopes to incorporate the EEG data as well as more patient feedback into their database, as several states are slated to vote on legislation that could legalize medical marijuana. In the next year, that information might soon become irrelevant to thousands more Americans. Goldstein is confident that legal reform will happen soon and research will follow. That shift will make cannabis use more scientific with less guessing. And that's our mission statement. to create a place where cannabis is treated like any other medicinal substance. This, according to Popular Science, and you can find that article at popsci.com. There is more to it. I had to skip through it a little bit because, it went on about, talked about the old basics. Talked about White Widow and how popular that White Widow won the Cannabis Cup in 1995. Oh, it's going on right now. The Cannabis Cup, the World Cannabis Cup. It's happening in Jamaica. Get your tickets online right now. Going out down there to the Cannabis Cup and see my friends down there. There's a whole bunch of them. They're having a great time. I saw a Rastafarian guy with bags and bags of weed selling them on the beach. Imagine that.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.